I'm Nan Bankston, and I'm a licensed practitioner here and a ministerial student. And I'm waiting for my oral panels in January. So tonight is my pleasure to be able to host this service as always. So I'd just like to introduce Treja, our practitioner tonight. And Treja's going to do an interesting opening for us with an invocation prayer weave thing that we've been kind of messing around with. So I hope you enjoy it. Treja.
With that very interesting introduction, let's take a nice deep breath together. There is only one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. Right here, right now, gazing into your eyes, I know with clarity that we are each an integral part of the whole, woven together as individual strands, each sharing our uniqueness in the tapestry of life. There is only one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. Being together like this satisfies the heart's longings to express and gives way to love's flow. We set aside this time, this space, and call it sacred as we set our intention to fill it with this loving expression, this conscious expansion of love as us. We bless Nan, and we know that her message this evening is divinely inspired and perfect for a time such as this, touching hearts and minds. You are my reflection. There is only love. And so it is.
Well, that was exciting. I turned my video off instead of turning my sound on. So thank you so much, Treasure, for that beautiful opening to our service tonight. You know, I truly am blessed to have the opportunity to flex my ministerial muscles, if you will, on these Wednesday night services. And just like exercising, it feels really good to have this regular program of spiritual exercise with you. You know, the same can be said for our spiritual practices. So my talk tonight is synergy, science, and meditation. I don't know about you, but I recall the old days of meditation when it became a hot item. There were yogis in faraway places wearing very few clothes, seated in weird, seemingly uncomfortable positions that appeared impossible to achieve. Some of them even practiced not breathing for long periods of time. Performers and artists of all sorts and superheroes traveled around the globe to sit at their feet and learn the secrets of inner peace. Everyone was searching for love and peace at that time, not too different than today. Well, that resulted in a million meditation experts flooding the field with how-to books, workshops, and all sorts of activities guaranteed to get you closer to your inner being, to a place of peace. And some even talked of bliss and nirvana, and it sounded really, really good. Then came the caveats about how meditation was to be done properly and with the best effects. And the key was always that one must spend hours in silence with no thoughts running through the mind. And boy, was that hard work. The harder I tried to quiet my mind, the thoughts, the more they ran rampant. And so I just gave up on all of those specific methods that pushed me further from inner peace and exploring the divinity within me. Ultimately, I just started sitting quietly, most often in nature, where I felt the most connected with spirit. You know, as the meditation craze took off, the term monkey mind became popular. It actually originated with a Buddhist term meaning unsettled, restless, confused, indecisive, uncontrollable. Then scientists linked the monkey mind idea to the brain and tried to find its location. Now, through the wonders of technology, neuroscientists have recently been able to identify a small part inside the frontal portion of the brain as the seat of ego, consciousness, and sense of self. According to the neuroscientists, in the areas called anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, and frontoinsular cortex, FIC, lies the sense of ego or awareness. As we talked about last week, Jungian psychology defines the ego as the place we hold all of our negative judgments about ourselves. Thus, it would stand to reason that the monkey mind, that unsettled, restless, indecisive mind, would quite likely enjoy creating conflict for us and generate an inability to be quiet simply by offering up that list of negative judgments or distractions that we've stored in there about ourselves. What we also know about meditation and the brain, excuse me, is that it quiets that anterior cingulate cortex. And the good news here, your mind does not have to be silent. It just has to be engaged with a different activity that stimulates other portions of your brain that essentially reset that anterior cingulate cortex. I really highly recommend the monthly article in the Science of Mind magazine by Mark Waldman and Dr. Andy Newborg that focuses on science and spirituality. Every month, they offer a vast array of information about meditation and the brain, how it affects your life, and they also offer many methods of meditation practices and other activities that support your brain in spiritual pursuit. Many of these are simple, and they don't require sitting on your meditation cushion for hours at a time, waiting for a miracle enlightenment. The information they share is also cutting-edge science based on real neuroscience data. Now, you know, physics has also brought interesting perspectives to the field of meditation and spiritual development. And I recommend Dr. Amit Goswami's book, Quantum Spirituality, for those of you who have an interest in physics and spirituality. I quote from his book where he is describing how we create synergy with the divine, or what he calls supramental intelligence, to create the greatest happiness in our lives. He states the scale of happiness starts at the bottom with psychosis or disconnect. Then there's neurosis, where people are just stuck. And then there's normal, which is a dynamic state. Positive mental health is balanced. Individuation becomes original, in touch with the archetypes of being. Then quantum enlightenment, which he describes as flow, which leads to just joy. He says quantum enlightenment becomes the ability to act with the highest intelligence available to humans, supramental intelligence, a complete mastery over skillful activity. You might want to take a look at Dr. Goswami's website, Quantum Activist, since he is highly engaged in bringing quantum spirituality to the world. He also promotes meditation as a method of experiencing the changes that propel us up that scale of happiness to the joy that we look for. And that brings me to the synergy part of my message. Ernest Holmes stated, meditation is at the heart of all world religions. since all seek in their different ways the final and ultimate cause, God, to whom we have given the name of love. The purpose of all spiritual practices are to bring us closer to the divine essence within us, that one infinite love. They prepare the way for us to recognize that each of us is a unique individuation of spirit and that divinity resides within each of us. You know, this being the season of light, a time when we recall the birth of Jesus, which was the physical manifestation of a being who was totally synergistically aware of his connection to the divine. He was recognized as the Anointed One by the wise men who followed the star to Bethlehem. The word Christ, or Christos, was Greek for anointed. That was later translated into the Hebrew synonym Messiah. You know, it's important for us to understand what those words mean because they're all synonymous. And many, many of us, myself included, have had unpleasant or hurtful experiences with previous teachings about Jesus, the idea of Christ or Christ consciousness. And we still may have unresolved feelings of anger, rejection, and separation that resulted from those. I know that I had some of those emotions for many years. Now, personally, I believe all sacred scripture has value. So it behooves us to follow Ernest Holmes' guidance and stay open at the top as we consider and reconsider spiritual teachings and become truly aware of what words and language really mean. So let's just circle back to this idea of Christ. In Greek and Hebrew, then, Jesus was the one metaphorically anointed with oil. This was what was meant by anointed one, and it was the custom or a ritual act at that time designed to elevate those designated for priestly, royal, or sometimes even prophetic roles. And indeed, Jesus, the Christos, or Christ, was a great prophet who spread the word of our connection to that higher power with which he was so deeply aligned and connected. He taught that each of us, just like him, had that inner divine essence that resides at the center of our being. That divine essence is love. And he taught that love was in and available to all people, not just a chosen few. And that was a huge departure from the previous Jewish teaching of the Old Testament. He taught that the awareness of that divinity within was life-changing. In fact, change could take place in the blink of an eye. You know, Jesus spent his life preparing the way for others to understand the truth of their divine essence. He devoted time daily to his communion with Spirit to maintain that connection. And he was one of the great way showers of spiritual evolution. Meditation, affirmative prayer, or what we call spiritual mind treatment, contemplation, and all spiritual practices that we engage in keep us in tune with that divine essence of love within. They keep us in that synergy of oneness that Treasure created with her beautiful opening invocation. Now that is the great message that runs through all sacred scripture and cultures, regardless of the origin. There is only one. I invite you to take some time this week, especially as we enter this holiday season that is very, very different than others before, to prepare the way, the path to the divine essence within you. Just take 5 or 10 minutes a day, perhaps a few times a day, and just sit quietly. Don't be concerned about the thoughts that travel through your mind. Just let them float by. Just breathe and feel the presence of life all around you as you breathe in. And then exhale everything that is not like that peaceful, loving presence. Take 5 minutes before you go to bed at night to be grateful for all the many blessings in your life that you recall from that day. Wake with words of thanksgiving in your heart for a new day, filled with the gift of life. Prepare the way for your full alignment with and the enjoyment of the divine essence within you. It will be an investment that will return treasures beyond your wildest dreams. And I'd like to close with just a little information from Abraham Hicks that includes the benefit of visualization as a spiritual practice. And Abraham says, act a little less. Now, we're not saying stop acting. We're saying just spend at least 10 or 15 minutes in a day finding pleasure from some vision of life that brings you joy. Afford yourself that. And that 10 or 15 minutes that you are finding pleasure will cause a focalization of energy within you that the universe will actualize around. That's a great thought, huh? The universe actualizing around that thought of pleasure and joy. You know, my friends, we are meant to live abundant lives of joy, love, peace, and beauty. That is our divine inheritance. Check out that inner light within you. Shine it wherever you go today and always. It is the truth of your being. And in doing so, you too prepare the way for others. And so it is. And so, as is our custom, I'd just like to have a little prayer here. I have to fix my thing. There we go. So let's just take a moment for a prayer. So just bringing to mind that one infinite loving presence, that spirit, that divine love, all encompassing, from which all creation has come forth. I just invite you to bring to your own mind what that is to you. Doesn't matter what you call it, but just for this moment in time, just take that moment to breathe in the presence and have the feelingness of that infinite love that is always, always in, through, and around you. We live, move, and have our being in that presence. It is the one of which we are all individuated components. For we are the body, we are the cells in the body of God. And as those living, breathing cells, we embody that light, that spirit, that essence, that holy beingness that is the truth of who we are. And so in this time, I just bless each and every being here. I bless those who are not within the sound of my voice tonight. I say a word of blessing for the workers who are on the front line of the pandemic, for the first responders, for individuals around the world who are dealing with this situation or any other situation, knowing that every being is fully supported in every way that is needed at this time and through this very curious experience that we are sharing. And so I know that love always prevails, and it is that loving presence that supports each and every one of us. And for this, as we prepare the way for others, I give great thanks for that infinite love and divine essence within each of us. I release these words into the law of mind that always says, yes, my beloveds, yes. And so it is. Amen. And now, it is our custom to have a little prosperity sharing affirmation here. And I would just invite you to, I'm going to put this in the chat room so you can see it. That way we can all share it together. So I want to say to everyone, thank you so much for the gifts that you have shared so freely and so prevalently throughout this time when we can't meet in person. It's your generosity and your commitment to our community that has kept us alive and well and in the divine flow of abundance. Oops, and joy. And we are so incredibly grateful, for it is your prosperity that is a reflection of the divine prosperity and the abundance consciousness of our center and our community. So if you want to take your gift in your hands, your metaphorical gift, and just bless it and know that as you give, it is returned 100-fold. And we can share this by saying with our affirmation, and you'll see it in the chat, I share my abundance with love and joy. And just bless your gift and send it out to wherever it may go. And now I'd like to just take that gift, those gifts, and just bless them. Through the love of pure spirit, I know that these gifts come forth to bless, to heal, and to prosper all who are in our world. And it is with great joy and great love that I accept these gifts and give great thanks. And so it is. And now, as is our custom, we're going to do our candle lighting service. And we're going to do lighting for those of you who may not have been with us before. We're going to light our inclusion candle. So, Treja, if you would like to light our candle of inclusion tonight, this will be symbolic of the individuals for whom I speak these words of inclusion. I'd like to give recognition to Reverends Leslie Goodwin and Karen Lewis from the New Vision Center in Phoenix, Arizona for this service, the ceremony that they created. We acknowledge that all people, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit, and we honor and acknowledge you wherever you are on your spiritual journey. And so this candle is symbolically lit for each person. For all who feel isolated, we stand with you and know the presence of the one is active in your life. For all who feel silenced, we stand with you and know that openness is here for you. For all who feel rejected, we stand with you and know that divine acceptance is your truth. For all who feel unloved, we stand with you and know that compassion surrounds you. For all who feel in lack, we stand with you and know the truth of abundance in your life. For all who feel afraid, we stand with you and know the peace that passes all understanding is with you now. For all who may feel lost, we stand with you and know that wisdom guides and leads you to where you are meant to be. And now, just allow someone to come to your mind whom you want to bless. And just bring that person into the field of your divine light. And including yourself, know without a doubt that your love and light heals and comforts. And so it is. Amen. And now, as is our other little custom, thank you, Treja. We're going to put our hands over our hearts and we're going to do our love blast. And we're just going to bring that divine light and love Oh, that divine light and love that is at the very center of our being, that bubbles up through us all the time, in through our heart center, out through our heart center, and just spills over into our hands. And just allowing our hands to fill to the fullest, to the fullest, to the fullest. We bring our hands together in front of us and we rub them together, going 1, 2, 3, and whoosh. Out goes that love into our homes, our neighborhoods, our communities, out around our country, around the globe, and out to the cosmos and beyond. And so it is.